Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and someone asked me a question a day or two ago in the video comments after the Kinobody video I had made about his front squats, and they were like, Jason, couldn't someone like him, it doesn't even have to be just him, couldn't someone like him who has basically neglected their legs for many years and become an advanced lifter for their upper body, shouldn't they be able to go back and build their foundation pretty quick for their legs? I think they could make kind of like Noob gains because his lifts are less than your novice strength standards. Couldn't they do that and make close to Noob gains again in their legs, even though they've neglected them for many, many years? And my answer to that was no, they can't. And I want to break down a little bit of why that is. But if you guys recall when I interviewed CJ Allen, when he was working on his doctoral work in exercise science back before he went and joined the military, he had said that in his opinion and his experience that people who goof around during their first year or two in the gym never make their Noob gains, meaning they pretty well have to go to an intermediate style training program and use intermediate training even though their numbers themselves might not be that good and they might not have built that much muscle mass because they basically lost that golden window of adaptation because their body went ahead and made the adaptations that they stressed it to, and it only is going to do that for so long, 6 to 9 months tops, and then that's it. You're done with your Noob gains. You're going to have to go to different programming even if you didn't gain much muscle because you goofed off. And that was an interesting point because, again, your body will adapt to whatever you throw at it. And once you kind of go through that honeymoon period, you are where you are. But now, some people have said they've goofed around and went and run some of my more novice-oriented programs and made pretty quick gains. But the question becomes, did they make Noob gains? And the answer is probably not. And what I mean by that is, did they walk in and start squatting with 65 pounds on the bar and in less than a year hit 315 for 5? Right? That's what we expect. Did they walk in deadlifting 120 and hit 405 for 5 reps within a year? Did they make a 300-pound jump on their deadlift? Of course they didn't. So they didn't really experience those Noob gains either. Now, when we go look at someone like Kinobody, that's a perfect example. He is less than what I expect from my novice lifters, many of whom way less than him. I have plenty of guys finish my novice program weighing 165, 170, 175, who squat 315 for 5 and deadlift 405 for 5 at the end of their first year in the gym. That's normal on my program. It's normal on Ripto's program. That's normal on strong lifts. I mean, that's pretty standard for anyone who follows a proper program. That's Noob gains. That's Noob gains, guys. That's the norm. That's the norm on a well-written program. So you take someone like him who's basically played around for 8+ years with lower body, and everyone's like, well, he did pistol squats and this and that. And yeah, you guys see right there that pistol squats don't do crap. Weighted pistol squats, unless you are doing 400+ pounds, so you got a pair of 200-pound dumbbells in your hands, aren't really that great. Because at the end of the day, that unilateral leg loading doesn't work very well. I've not met anyone who's really developed legs strong enough to squat 500 pounds doing this unilateral work. I've never seen it done. Ever. I've never seen anyone go from doing pistol squats and getting really strong on them to just walking in and repping 450 on the squat within a month. It doesn't happen. You don't get big, strong legs doing that. And you certainly don't develop your core musculature to handle heavy loads doing this one-legged fluffy stuff. You don't. It doesn't work. That stuff works as assistance exercises to add a little more volume to your real training. That's easier to recover from. It just doesn't work. And that's why that guy, he looked like he could wear skinny jeans. Now he goes in and he hit a 265 front squat after several workouts for a triple. All right, that should tell you something. That's where he's at. He's front squatting less than I did after I took it a year and a half off from leg work. You guys remember that? I took a year and a half off. The only leg work I've done was deadlifts. I didn't squat. I walked in, was hitting within a few weeks, 295 for 10 sets of 3 on the front squat. Then I jumped up and went back to back squatting and added 10 pounds every week. My back squats are getting pretty strong again, but I also went from being a 500-pound squatter to not squatting at all. And I'll be back to a 500 this year, absolutely. No doubt in my mind. And hopefully without a belt. So that's kind of the point. Because I'd already built a base, it just jumps back instantly. With him, he didn't have a base. And people say, well, how do you know a front squat? How much should he be squatting? Well, 265 divided by 85%. And 85% usually what you can front squat versus your back squat is about 310. So he could probably back squat about 310 for a triple. That's all the strength he gained from all those pistol squats. That's all they did. That's all the carryover they have. And his numbers match exactly what I said based upon his pistol squats, that he was a low 300 squatter. And there you have it. That's where he's at. Same thing, 405 for 2 on a deadlift. He has no leg development because that guy can do pull-ups with a pretty respectable amount of weight. So his back is strong. He just doesn't have any posterior chain or legs. He's all back. He doesn't have any lower body to deadlift with. So he can't deadlift. And so essentially when you see someone who's done that and they've come in and they've played around, they've done fluff for their leg work, they're not going to make rapid gains in their lower body. Essentially because he has trained his lower body to a lesser extent for all these years and he never took it seriously, he's exhausted his noob gains. He's exhausted his intermediate gains in his legs. He is going to have to go to advanced lifter gains. And that means, like I was saying before, you look at some of this research of guys like Dr. Mike Israetel, he's going to have to gain fat to gain any muscle in his legs. If he doesn't blast a bunch of gear, he is going to have to gain more fat than muscle weight in his legs. In order to get a respectable squat and a respectable deadlift, and I'm talking over a 400 squat, 500 plus deadlift, he is probably going to have to gain at least 7 or 8 pounds of muscle in his legs. If he wants to do this over the next 2 years, again, we're going to advanced gains. If he wants to do this in 2 years to 2.5 years, someone like that is going to have to be willing to gain some fat. They're going to have to get fat. Not, fat by normal people standards, but by bodybuilding standards. That's what's going to happen. 2 to 3 pounds of fat for every pound of muscle. So you're looking at, to gain 7 or 8 pounds of muscle, 14 to 25 pounds of body fat. That's what he's going to have to gain that muscle rapidly now, unless he's willing to blast a bunch of gear. So you take someone who's done that, and I'm sorry to tell you guys, but if you neglected your legs for 5+ years, and you've built to a 300 bench and a 200 overhead press, and you're strong on weighted pull-ups and strong on barbell rows and all this stuff, but you've played with your legs, you're not going to go back and make noob gains in your legs again, because there's a systematic response involved. You have to deal with systematic recovery, systematic loading now. In order to make respectable leg gains, if you neglected them a really long time, unless there's either muscle memory involved or there are drugs involved, you are going to have to prioritize your legs. And you're going to have to eat. And you're going to have to give your legs most of your recovery ability. That means you're probably going to be doing things like squatting and deadlifting 3 days a week. And if you really want to make the most of it, you're going to have to put your upper body completely on the back burner. It means maybe train your upper body 1 day a week and prioritize your legs like 3 days a week. And you're going to have to bulk. And I'm sorry to tell people that, but that's just the reality of it. You're going to have to put 70 to 80% of your training effort into the half of your body that you neglected, and you're going to have to deal with the fact that you're going to have to do a true bulk to gain any sort of rapid muscle gain and any sort of strength in that, if it happens to be your legs. And people don't want to hear that, and a lot of people are like, man, that sucks, I'm not going to bother. Well, then you can go ahead and stay weak for the rest of your life. But that's just the reality. That is the price that people have to pay for goofing off in the gym. Meaning for everything that you do, there's a consequence and there's a reaction, whether positive or negative. And if you make the choice to spend 5 years or 6 years playing around and just fluff and pump for your upper body and not really train the lower half of your body, you can't expect to just come in and correct that in 6 months. You spent 5 years unbalancing yourself, or 8 years or 10 years. You can't just come in and fix that overnight. You're going to have to put a very, very heavy priority on it for a very long time. And you're going to have to deal with the fact that your systematic recovery and everything else is just different now than it was back when you first started training. That's reality, guys. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.